Well, Alvin, this is the question that everybody has been asking for 2 days now, and I'm sure asking you, how in the world does something like this happen? Where did you come from? I mean, how did you win the nomination for the Democratic Party and the right to face Jim DeMint?
I worked hard. You know, and I got my message to my supporters, and I said just hard work.
Well, we say hard work, though. I mean, I understand you didn't hold any campaign functions. You had no campaign signs, no campaign literature, no website. How did you work to get the name out? I mean, what did you physically do?
Well, I did just simple, old-fashioned campaigning. Nothing fancy or expensive. Just
What is old-fashioned campaigning? Did you go door to door? Did you get in the car and drive around the state?
yes, I campaigned all across the state. I had my family and friends help me. And you know,
Did you
all
ever have an official function at any point? Did you ever have a party to announce your candidacy or a fundraiser of any sort?
nothing formal, no formal, none of that.
Can you tell me some of the towns that you visited, some of the people that you met with?
Um, all I'll just say that I've traveled all across the state. That
How
tells
were
it
you?
all.
Well, how were you able to travel around the state being unemployed? I mean, how do you even buy gas? How do you get gas?
Well, I am still collecting my unemployment benefits.
You are
Until
currently
last
collecting unemployment.
yes, ever since I left the army 9 months ago, up until yes, yeah, up until last week, I know.
Well, let me ask you this: what prompted you to even get involved? No political background, no volunteer efforts in any kind of campaigns. Usually, folks kind of at least dip their toe in the water. You just jumped in into
Mhm.
maybe one of the biggest races we have in state politics.
Well, I thought about it about 2 years ago as a soldier serving in Korea, and I saw the country declining, and I wanted to do something, and just the opportunity just presented itself.
There's a lot of speculation. Congressman Clyburn is making the accusation that perhaps somebody put you up to this. He's calling for the federal attorney to even investigate. Does this worry you at all that people are going to be poking and prying into your background to this degree?
No, it doesn't. I mean, because I have nothing to hide.
When it comes to that $10,000 filing fee or the $10,400 filing fee, I mean, can you say with absolute certainty that this was your money?
Yes, I can.
You didn't get that money from anybody else?
No, I didn't.
And you haven't had any conversations with anybody that somebody said, hey, why don't you run? We'll put you up for this and we will help you out along the way?
None of that. No, sir.
These came from your own savings?
That is correct.
Um, the chairwoman of the state Democratic Party, Carol Fowler, said there's been Democratic events in Clarendon County and Florence County, some of the parts of the neighborhoods that you're familiar with, and that you haven't been to any of these, that you haven't even really been active in the Democratic Party. Why is that?
Well, I've been active. I just weren't out to those particular events.
Well, active in what way then? I guess I would ask. When you say you're active, I mean, how can give me a good concrete example of how you're active in politics right now?
Well, I get out and meet voters wherever they are across the state and just get my message to the people of South Carolina. And, I'm focusing on the issues, getting South Carolina back to work and getting our priorities in order in South Carolina and across the country.
What do you know about Senator DeMint, and what could you say about him as a campaign opponent, and what would you run, or what kind of platform would you run against Senator DeMint?
Okay. Well, someone has to be held accountable. I mean, for the bad situations that we currently have here in the state and across the country. I mean, the incumbent representatives, I think, are a major part of why we're in this predicament.
Are you surprised to any extent to be standing here today? I mean, you just did a national satellite interview with MSNBC. You've been in a lot of national papers today. Would you have ever thought that 3 days ago you'd be standing right here in front of me right now?
3 days ago, I knew it was a possibility. I mean, I expected to win, do well because I worked hard and I got my message. I'm in touch with the constituents of South Carolina more so than my opponents. They can relate to me. I can relate to the constituents of South Carolina more than any of my opponents. I'm in touch with them, and I
Where
know their struggles. And
Where were you on election night when the returns were coming in? Were you watching as they came in? What were you watching?
I was at home. I was watching the local news channels.
And so as you saw them updated, periodically from 15 minutes to 30 minutes to 45 minutes, did it become apparent at a certain point in the night that it looked like you were actually going to win?
Yes.
Do you understand how surprised people are by this situation? I
Yes.
mean, many people calling this perhaps one of the biggest surprises we've seen in 20, 25 years. I mean, do you get that, why people are asking so many questions?
Yes, sir. I do.
And what do you say to those people who think, well, gosh, man, here's this guy he's coming out of nowhere to take on what amounts to a political titan. Can you assure them that you have some type of background that would allow you to mount a successful campaign against somebody like Jim DeMint?
Yes, I'm a 13-year military veteran, and my opponent has no military experience, and I'm an Air Force and Army veteran, stationed at Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina. I served in the South Carolina Air National Guard too.
Can you
McIntyre.
discuss the circumstances of you leaving the armed services?
Well, it was honorable discharge. It was involuntary, but things just wasn't working out.
But it was an honorable discharge?
Yes, it was honorable, but involuntary. But I mean, just it wasn't working out. But and I have this opportunity and to make a difference and change things. And
Carol Fowler, as I mentioned, the chairwoman of the party, has she contacted you directly to ask you to step aside?
yes, she has mentioned that. But like I've said, the people of South Carolina have spoken, and they've chosen me to be their candidate.
Do you think, in light of your arrest on those charges that happened earlier, that perhaps it would be best to step aside, that somebody who's under that cloud of suspicion or has been charged with a felony may not be the best candidate to run for office?
Well, I'm innocent until proven guilty, and that's our government, and that's our Constitution.
Can you discuss some of the circumstances as to how that came about? I mean, would you claim that this is a misunderstanding?
I see it as that, but I have no comment about that. I want to focus on the issues and
There were-
not negative stuff.
There would be a lot of people who have asked the question that if you had the money to come up with a filing fee, that $10,000, why would you be using a public defender in your case to fight off this felony charge?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that.
What happens from here on out? I mean, this is sort of like the first week of the rest of your life to some extent. You had this life as an anonymous Alvin Greene before, no longer anonymous. How do you map out a game plan and a battle plan? How do you move forward from here on out?
Well, by focusing on the issues and staying focused on my campaign and not getting distracted.
Are you going to assemble a team? Do you need to get out there? And I mean, you can't really mount a successful campaign without a lot of money. Jim DeMint has maybe $4 million. I mean, what do you do to try and get people to back you in your campaign? You got to raise some cash.
Yes, well, I need the Democratic Party behind me. I need the state support, state Democratic Party support, as well as the National Democratic Party support. And in the end, it's not the money that's added up; it's votes that count.
Do you feel like this is something you're going to have to get more accustomed to? I mean, running for office like this, some people have insinuated that you haven't really wanted to be that forthright and talk to the media. This is going to be something in my mind that you're going to have to do nearly every day. That it may not be the most fun thing to do, but it strikes me as something you probably have to learn to live with, don't you think?
It looks like.
Are you going to be okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Are you upset by even some of the questions that people have been asking about your personal life, about your background? I mean, you realize it is part of the territory of
Yes.
trying to get to know a candidate.
Yes, you have to take the bad with the good.
And your parents back home, we understand you live with your folks back in Manning because of these tough times you're in. How have they been supportive throughout this whole process? What have they done?
They've just reminded me to stay focused, on the issue and just don't be distracted, by negative things and negative stuff.
Do you even have transportation to get around the state and travel around the state and meet people? I mean, how are you traveling around the state?
Yes, I do have transportation. I have my own vehicle. And
Is it new?
it's '03.
Okay, got you. Appreciate it, Alvin.
All right.